Hi guys, welcome to Piece of Code and welcome to this video. So in this video we're going to continue our design pattern series, and in the previous video we discussed about the adapter design pattern, and in this video we're going to discuss about the factory design pattern, right? Now, what is a factory design pattern and what type of design pattern is a factory design pattern? First of all, factory design pattern is a creational design pattern, right? So why do we need a factory design pattern and what is the use of factory design pattern? Factory design pattern, in simple words, is used to create objects, right? As the name suggests, it's a factory. You can say that it's a factory of objects, because in a factory you create something, right? So basically it's a factory of objects. Now you may ask this question, why do we need this design pattern? Because let's take an example of Java. In Java, how do we create an object? In Java we create an object by using the new keyword. For example, there is a class named animal, so we say animal equals to new animal, right? Simple as that. So if I already have a way to create an object, what is the need of a factory design pattern which is used to help to create objects, right? Now the thing is, see, this is a single class and this is a single object, and we going to assume that you're going to use this object at a single place. At a single point of time in your code, you want to create an object and you want to use it. At that time, there is no need of factory pattern. You will directly create the object like this and you directly use it, plain and simple. But what happens when the complexity of your class structure increases and the way you instantiate the objects varies in different places? What do I mean by that? First of all, let us discuss about when the complexity or the structure of your class increases. Now first we had this animal class, which is pretty nice, plain and simple. We had this animal class. Let's write it over here, so we'll have a little bit more space. Now you have some subclasses of this animal class. You have a cat, and you have a dog, and you have a tiger, and many more. You can have much more of animals because these are all animals, right? So now you have a structure or a hierarchy of objects. Now you have an animal, and inside that as subclasses of that you have cat, dog, and animal, and these are all having a relationship between each other, because obviously this is a hierarchy. On the contrary, the way you create objects also changes. Now at some point of time, what you need is, in this point of time, you were creating this animal object at a single place, but now, for example, you have hundreds of files with thousands of lines of code, and at different points, for example, at this point, and at this point, at numerous points in your code, you need to create the object of animal type. Now it is not just a animal object, but you want to create objects of animal type. It can be a cat, it can be a dog, or it can be a tiger, and you want to create those objects conditionally as well. First of all, you want to create the object as at numerous places at different points of places in your code. Second, you want to conditionally create that object, and sometime maybe you want to randomly also create the object. You can use a random function, and based on some random value you want to create a particular object. Now this random function is particularly useful in place of games, right? For example, you have an enemy, right? And the enemy can be anyone, right? Enemy is just a generic term, and you are the protagonist and there is an enemy that you have to defeat. Like for example, take the example of I don't know, boss battles, right? Boss battles, right? So see, you are a protagonist. The thing that you have to defeat is a boss, right? Now the boss can be anything. The boss can be a monster, right? The boss can be a wizard. The boss can be a, I don't know, a knight, right? So we have different types. So if you consider this also as a class hierarchy or types of objects, there can be millions of that, and these types can also have, you know, more hierarchical way. There can be more subclasses. We don't care about that. So but the point is, at every level in the game you need a boss, and you want to randomly throw in a boss in every level of your game. That can be a monster or a wizard or a knight, right? And they can respawn as well. So you are creating the objects continuously at different points in your game. Basically a game is basically you have written a program, right? And that has to behave in this way. You have to create different kinds of bosses, like which are objects, at different points of time in your game, and randomly as well. In that place, directly creating the object using the new keyword doesn't make any sense. It will just make your code more and more complicated, and it will introduce redundancy and duplicacy in your code, right? So these all points you need to understand before actually going to the concept of factory pattern, because if you don't know where to actually use it, and in the interviews if someone asks you where you might use a factory pattern, then you will not be able to say it, and you'll probably gonna bust it, right? And second point is that people generally get confused between the factory pattern and the builder pattern. This is a common confusion, like between the factory pattern and the builder pattern. So if you correctly do not understand where to actually apply the factory pattern, you will obviously get confused between the factory pattern and the builder pattern. The builder pattern you're going to see in another video, so just let's ignore it. I just gave you a heads up so that you'll give more focus on all this theory part. You'll not skip it. Yeah. So yeah, this is these are the places where you might want to consider using the factory pattern. So yeah, that's about the examples. Now let us discuss about the types of factory pattern that are available, and then we're going to jump back in the code as fast as possible. So when we talk about the factory pattern, we basically have three types. One is a simple factory. We're going to see that in a minute, so don't worry about it. Then we have the factory method, which just is a little bit better than the simple factory. And in the end we have a abstract factory. So in this video we're going to cover the simple factory and the factory method, but the abstract factory we're going to cover in the next video, or in a different video, because it will lengthen the video. And then we're going to see also the differences in the other video between all these three factory patterns. Alright, so to just start with the simple factory pattern, we're gonna just go in the particular editor, which is my IntelliJ editor, and just start with some basic things, right? So I'm going to create a new package over here, and I'm gonna name it as I don't know, factory design pattern, right? So we're gonna just follow along the animal example that I just gave just now. So we're gonna create maybe a interface, and I'm gonna name it as animal, right? So we have this animal interface over here, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new Java class, and I'm gonna name it a dog. It will be a class, and then let's just quickly create all the classes. New Java class, we're gonna call this cat, and then we're gonna create another one, Java class, and we're gonna call it a tiger, right? So we have three classes over here that we need for our example. So let us now see what we can do with it. Just give me a moment, guys. Oh, sorry. Now over here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the cat, dog, and tiger. You know what? Let's make this animal not an interface but a public abstract. Let's make it an abstract class. I mean, right? Just to make it a little bit more fun. So we're gonna go in the cat class and we're gonna say extends animal, and to the dog we're gonna say extends, to just establish the relationship between the classes, right? And the tiger we're gonna just say extends animal. Okay, great. Now what we need is I'm gonna create a new Java class and I'm gonna name it as a main class for now. Now if we do not have a factory design pattern, and at some point of time we based on some number we are going to create a certain I don't know, or based on a string we want to create a certain animal, a dog or a cat or a tiger, right? So what we do in this case is that we're gonna say, for example, so I'm gonna say string animal, and for now let's make this animal as cat, right? So what we do is, so if I say if animal dot equals cat, let's make it a equals ignore case, and I'm gonna say cat. Then we say what we can just put this animal, we're gonna just keep it like this, and then we're gonna say animals equals to new cat, right? Hope it makes sense. Else if animal dot equals ignore case, and if it is a dog then we're gonna say animals equals to new dog, right? Hope that makes sense. Else animals equals to new tiger, right? So what we are doing over here is that based on a certain string or a certain, you can use a random method if you want, or a random thing, whatever you want, but in this case what we are doing is based on a string we are creating an object of animal type, right? A cat or a dog or a tiger, or a tiger, sorry. Now it looks a little bit messed up. Now this is a very simple example, so you won't get it because it's something like you know, it's very simple example, so you would say okay, this kind of works. But in a lot of cases you are going to, you know, duplicate this code at a different places and all, and this will not work as expected. So in this case what we are going to do is we're going to create a new Java class, and I'm going to name this class as animal factory, right? And this will be a simple class over here, and it will create it will have only one method which will be public animal, and it will return an object of the animal. I would say create animal, and it will accept a string animal type, right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna just head back into our main class over here, and we going to just grab this thing from here, all the logic that we have written, we're gonna paste it over here. So just gonna replace the animal with the animal type over here, so that it oh sorry, not here, my bad. Okay, so instead of you know, storing it here, we're gonna just return and here also we're going to say return, and here also we're going to say return. Cool. So based on animal type or a string that we receive, we just return one particular object over here. So in the main class, we're going to just say we're going to just create an object of the animal factory. We're going to say animal factory equals to new animal factory, and then we're going to say is animals equals to animal factory dot create animal, and we're going to pass the animal inside of it. That's it. So see how better it is now, and how easy it is to use this at anywhere, wherever you want. Now this is the example of a simple factory pattern. Now if you want to see the diagram of a simple factory pattern, it is pretty simple. So you basically have you have a product over here. So basically product is nothing but what a factory produces, right? In this case the product is an animal, right? And then we have a concrete product. In this case the concrete product is nothing but cat, dog, tiger and all, which are basically classes, which are not abstract but which are classes, basically concrete classes, I would say. Then what we have is a I would say a creator, or you could say the factory. But in this case this is a concrete creator or a concrete factory. Let's call it a concrete factory, I would say a concrete factory. Now a concrete factory has a product, you can say that. I mean, if you in this case if you see in the animal factory, it has an animal, you can just say animal over here. You can just create a class variable and you can return it. So has a relationship, you can exist, you know, you can make out of it, but it doesn't matter. If you want to keep it, otherwise it's a choice. So this is a very simple, I would say, factory pattern, simple factory pattern, right? Where we have a concrete factory or a concrete creator, and then we have a product, and then there is a concrete product. That's it. Now just take this step one step further. Now take this thing just one step further and you will get the factory method pattern. So what we need over here is we have the product and we have the concrete product. So what we do is we just introduce a concrete, a interface of the factory, and this will be a concrete factory. So what do I mean by that is, so we have a product over here, and then we have a concrete product, right? Then we have a creator over here, and over here we have a concrete creator. So basically we abstract the creator as well, I mean the factory as well. So we have a creator, a concrete creator means a factory, and then I would say a concrete factory, and then we have a product and a concrete product. Now what is the advantage? Why did we take this a step further? Because the simple factory was working well. I mean there was no issues with that. It was solving all of our problems. Now if you see in the normal simple factory thing, we have just one concrete factory and it was doing all the stuffs. If you go inside there, in this animal factory we have a create animal, and based on the animal type it was doing a lot of job. Now keep in mind that an animal can do a lot of things. An animal object has its own behaviors, an animal object has its own characteristics, and it can have a lot of other functionalities as well, which you want to use it, right? And a factory is just like it will give you a whole package. It cannot give you a half baked object and you say okay, just take it and leave, right? It doesn't work like that. So if your complexity increases in your code, you go one step further and introduce the abstraction and a little bit of polymorphism in the factory as well over here. Instead of keeping one concrete factory, you keep one interface, I would say, and then you have a concrete creator or a concrete factory. And it's pretty simple, guys. How do we do that? So we have an animal factory over here, right? So we just change it. So basically we're gonna just mark it this thing, we're just gonna comment it. So instead of class, we're gonna make it as interface, right? What is the related problem? Okay, we are gonna check that later, so we don't worry about that for now. Instead of here, what we're gonna see is we're gonna keep one method for now. I'm gonna say create animal. We're gonna say animal, and we're gonna say create animal. That's it. We're gonna keep just one method as of now. If you want some certain properties that needs to be used by certain types of animals, like a tiger can roar, a cat can say meow, and a dog can bark. So you can use these kind of things to construct a definitive object of each animal type. You can pass it over here, but not to keep things complicated, let's keep things simple. So we have animal factory over here. Now we're gonna create a new Java class and name it as I would say dog factory, and we're gonna create another new Java class and we're gonna name it as tiger factory, and we have another guy over here that is a cat factory. So you see the same thing that we shown over here is we have a product and we have a concrete product, we have a creator and a concrete creator. So over here we have this one animal, and we have concrete animals which are cat, dog and tiger, and then we have factory which is animal factory, and then we have concrete factory which is cat factory, dog factory and tiger factory, right? I hope that is making sense. So we're just gonna go over this cat factory, right? Just gonna say implements animal factory. This is done. Okay, it will ask you to implement the method, so just let's implement the methods by using the shortcuts. Then we have this dog factory, so I'm just gonna say implements animal factory, and then we're gonna just grab these methods from here and paste it over here, and then dog factory, and then we have tiger factory. Yes, so I'm gonna say implements animal factory, and we're gonna just take this implements, just create this thing. So instead of returning null, basically, so cat factory will return new cat, right? Dog factory will return a new dog, and then tiger factory can return a new tiger. So see, now what happened is we have separate factory for each animal type. Now you can ask me a question: is it necessary that I create a factory for each animal type? It's not necessary. It's actually how you logically differentiate the factories. Now let's take an example. In this animal case, right, animals can be of different types, right? Animals can be of different types. So we have cat, we have dog, we have tiger, we have goat, we have sheep, we have cow. Now if you see, you can logically group them as well. Now cat, dog and tiger, what is the common thing between these three people is that they can eat, I mean, non-veg food as well, right? And these are all vegetarian guys. So you can just create factories known as a omnivore factory, right? You can create a omnivore factory, and you can also create a herbivore factory, right? And based on what kind of animal you want, you can either have a omnivore factory and you have a herbivore factory. So you see, that's how this thing works, right? As the your class complexity increases, you also have to simplify your solutions as well. So in this case, I have a factory for each type of a particular I would say a particular animal, but you can have a logical grouping of different types of animals, I would say, and you can create factories of them as well. I hope that is making sense. And wherever you need that factory, you will be able to directly use it. You don't have to worry about that. You can just say animal factory equals to new dog factory, and you can just say factory dot create animal, and it will return you the a dog, I would say. You can also push it into a dog. That was a parent thing. Okay, because now because it is returning an animal, we cannot directly put it in a dog, but instead of that we have to downcast it to a dog, and then it should work. Okay, I hope that is making sense, guys. And that was all about the factory pattern and simple factory pattern, the factory method pattern. I hope you guys have understood it. And in another video, we're going to see about the abstract factory pattern. So basically, if you have understood factory method pattern, and basically the abstract factory pattern will be kind of a piece of cake for you, but it has a little bit more complexity, so we're going to cover it in a different video. Alright guys, so that's it from my side. Till the next video, have a nice day, take care, and bye bye.